Welcome to Sacred Echoes of India. In this segment, we are going to talk about the profound impact of British rule on India between 1700 and 1900, a transformative period that shaped the nation's political, social, and cultural fabric. From the East India Company's humble beginnings as traders to the establishment of the British Raj, the period from 1700 to 1900 marked the rise and establishment of British dominance in India, a journey that began with trade but transformed into political and territorial control. This transformation was neither premeditated nor uniformly executed, but instead evolved in response to shifting circumstances in both Britain and India. The interaction between the British and Indians during this era had profound and lasting impacts, shaping the subcontinent's political, social, and cultural landscape. The British entry into India was facilitated by the East India Company, established in 1600 to trade in the East Indies. With the Dutch dominating Indonesia, the company turned its attention to India, drawn by its wealth of cotton, spices, and other commodities. Initially, British merchants entered India with humility, seeking trade agreements rather than territorial control. The dominant power at the time was the Mughal Empire, which allowed the British to establish trading posts in cities such as Madras, Bombay, and Calcutta. However, as the Mughal Empire declined due to internal strife and weak successors after Aurangzeb, the British capitalized on the resulting instability. They gradually increased their influence with the Battle of Plassey, marking a pivotal point in British expansion. This victory under Robert Clive established British dominance in Bengal, setting the stage for further territorial acquisitions. The British East India Company's growing power did not escape attention in London. The Regulating Act of 1773 was the first step towards parliamentary oversight of the company. By the late 18th century, under leaders like Arthur Wellesley, the company had become the paramount power in India, eliminating French influence and subduing regional powers. This expansion was not without resistance. The rebellion of 1857, often called the Sepoy Mutiny, was a violent uprising against British rule, sparked by grievances over cultural insensitivity, such as the use of animal grease in rifle cartridges and broader discontent over British policies. The rebellion highlighted deep-seated resentment. The brutal suppression of the rebellion by the British further widened the divide between rulers and the ruled. The rebellion of 1857 marked a watershed moment. The British government dissolved the East India Company and took direct control of India in 1858. This period, known as the British Raj, brought about administrative and symbolic changes, such as the proclamation of Queen Victoria as Empress of India in 1877. However, British governance remained focused on maintaining order and maximizing economic gains rather than development. The British administration relied on a small cadre of officials supported by Indian bureaucrats. Despite their limited numbers, just over 1,000 British officials managing a population of 300 million, the Raj wielded significant influence. However, their governance was often marked by arrogance, racism, and cultural insensitivity, which fueled resentment among Indians. The British impact on India was multifaceted, producing both positive and negative outcomes. The British economic policies were designed to benefit Britain, often at India's expense. Traditional industries such as textiles suffered under competition from British imports, leading to widespread unemployment and poverty. The British established railways, telegraphs, and a legal system, laying the foundation for India's modernization. English education also created a class of Indians exposed to Western ideas, some of whom would later lead the independence movement. British policies and Christian missionary activities disrupted traditional social structures, sparking fears of forced cultural assimilation. These tensions contributed to the rebellion of 1857 and lingering resentment. British policies fostered the growth of an urban middle class, which became instrumental in India's eventual quest for independence. Cities like Calcutta emerged as centers of political and intellectual activity. The British Empire left behind a complex legacy. While it introduced modern infrastructure and governance, it also imposed cultural hegemony, economic exploitation, and systemic inequality. The resentment and divisions created during this period persisted, shaping India's struggles for independence and post-colonial identity. The British impact on India between 1700 and 1900 was profound, marked by exploitation and modernization, conflict and collaboration. While the British Empire brought education, infrastructure, and governance, it also left scars of racism, economic exploitation, and cultural disruption. This era remains a pivotal chapter in India's history, providing lessons on the consequences of imperialism and the resilience of a subjugated people in reclaiming their identity and autonomy. Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more insightful videos. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.